On June 19th, DeadRatDev started her very serious game jam based around making games of a serious tone with absolutely no silliness or whimsy. Naturally, as the most serious game developer of all time, I decided to take upon this challenge. Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, I'm an indie game developer with a couple of games under my belt at this point, and I've been working on my game for a while now, and when I saw the announcement that Juniper is hosting a game jam, I saw it as an excellent opportunity to take a step back from the game and make something smaller again. Now, I'm very proud of my previous entries to the Brackeys game jam, but this time I wanted to master setting scope and polishing a game properly, and so I set out on a journey to make a roguelike in just 8 days. The first day of the jam came around and the theme has been revealed to be Spin to Win. Now, immediately upon seeing this, the first thing that I thought of were Beyblades and how extremely awesome Beyblades are. But then I thought, hey, we should probably think a bit more outside the box and think of something unique that no one else will have. And then I thought, hey, wait a minute. Ballerinas spin, don't they? And so I decided to make a game about a Beyblade-ish ballerina who shoots guns at bad guys. Now, when the jam started, I actually wasn't home and I was still busy, so I got to work pretty late. And so pretty much all that I got done the first day was just some basic Beyblade-ish movement, as well as shooting the guns themselves. On day 2, I managed to get all of the core gameplay mechanics finished. So here is what the gameplay loop is like. I took the theme literally, meaning spin to win. If you keep spinning, you progress towards winning the game, and the moment you stop spinning, you begin to lose the game. And so, you are a ballerina spinning around and performing in a theater play. Spinning entertains the audience, and if you stop, they start to get displeased, and you start losing. Your goal is to keep spinning while you shoot at bad guys. Once all of the bad guys are defeated, you can go on to the next stage. Now, I was heavily inspired by The Binding of Isaac when making this game, and so I decided to make it into a roguelike. And defeating enemies gives you points, which you can then spend to buy upgrades in the shop. You repeat that over the course of one run until you face the final challenge, that being the final boss. And since it is a roguelike, you only get to do this in one run. So failing means that you have to start the game over from the very beginning without any upgrades or anything like that. Now, I started this day by polishing the shooting a bit more, as well as adding a bit of recoil to it. After that was done, I added an ammo count, so that way you have limited ammo when you shoot and there's more stakes to losing the run. And then, of course, the pivotal part of all of this, I added health, which if you stand still and you don't spin, you begin to lose health. After that, I added enemies, which I split into 2 types. The first enemy is a melee enemy who runs after you and damages you on contact. Then you have a ranged enemy who shoots his guns at you. And yeah, then I made it so that defeating an enemy gives you points, and so you have an overall score, and these points get multiplied by the score multiplier, which increases as you perform combos. So the faster you defeat enemies, the higher your score multiplier, therefore also the higher the score you get at the end of each stage. And of course, the final result of the points times the multiplier gets added to the score. And so this score is called style, and you can use this style as a currency for buying upgrades in the shop, which is how you get better for the next more difficult stages. Day 3 was spent by drawing some basic art for everything. I started by drawing the ballerina sprite, which has a couple of animations for not just the guns, but also, depending on your velocity, the skirt will expand to look like it's flowing through the air due to how fast you're spinning, which is a cool little detail that I wanted to include. And it was also on this day that I decided to go for a 20s Art Deco theme for the game, and also I kind of noticed how the gameplay reminded me of Hotline Miami, and so I decided to base the art style on that. And it was also on this day that I decided to team up with the very talented Cory Harbach, who composed the music for this game, which you have been hearing throughout this video. Cory and I have actually decided to release the soundtrack on streaming platforms. So, if you enjoyed the music of this game, you can listen to it from the comfort of your own home or when you're in public transport or something. I will leave a link in the description of a place where you can find all the links to the different streaming platforms it's on. You can also listen to it on YouTube. I made a special tab on my channel page where you can listen to it. And yeah, that was about it for day 3. Not much to report about day 4. I mostly just spent the whole day making different set dressing in the form of different furniture, carpets, walls, and other things. And then in the evening, I actually started working on the item shop and the actual option to go to the next stage. Day 5 marked the finish line for the gameplay, as I added a fail state for when you lose, the option to restart a run, and a bit of polish, like a curtain transition whenever you go to a different stage, and of course, some proper art for the item shop. On day 6, I got up early in the morning and started designing the tutorial for the game. And of course, since the jam is very serious, I couldn't just record this in my pajamas, so I put on my suit, changed my keyboard out for something a bit more classy, and got to work on recording everything. Now, the voiceover itself was a lot of fun. I do really enjoy voice acting, and I want to do a lot more of it. But I will say retrospectively that I feel that I probably could have done it a bit better. You see, the thing is, in the 20s, people spoke in something called a transatlantic accent, which uses elements from both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, meaning a bit of the American accent and a bit of the British accent, and it was because of how microphones were back then. You needed to enunciate things clearly, otherwise the mic wouldn't pick it up. I didn't know about this at the time of recording that, so that means I couldn't have done like research into what that accent entails, and so instead I ended up just blindly improvising it. After editing the whole tutorial video, I got to work on designing all of the levels in the game, and yeah, I worked on that until like late in the night, and that is it for day 6. On day 7, I got to work a bit late because I was busy with some life stuff, but once I returned, I got out my drawing tablet and I began drawing the cover art for the game. Then after the cover art was done, I got to work on making the main menu along with a splash screen and a credit screen. I ended up naming the game Bulletrina, which I think has a really nice ring to it. And yeah, after all of that, it was late at night and I decided to make the final boss fight, which I also actually did the voiceover for. When I finished the boss fight, it was midnight. It was the next day of the jam, and it was also the last day of the jam, and for me the jam ended at 8 AM, and so I knew what was about to happen. I ended up doing some last finishing touches and fixing a couple of bugs, and then I finally exported the game. Before submitting it to the jam, I decided to playtest it real quick to make sure everything works. And to my horror, the game was broken. The tutorial video completely broke and didn't show up on a single one of the exported versions. And so I had to remove it from the game completely. I had to instead host it on YouTube and then put a link on the game's itch page and just pray that people would hopefully watch it before playing. So, it is almost 3 in the morning and I still have yet to submit the game to the jam. It is severely broken and I have 5 hours. I have 5 hours to fix all the problems that it's having. So that's great. But yeah, soon it will be submitted, hopefully. But little did I know, I'd be fixing this issue and making the game's page for another 2 hours. It was at 5 AM when I realized I had witnessed the entire day-night cycle and decided I should probably just give up and actually get some sleep. While I did get some sleep, I woke up the next day feeling absolutely horrible. But I did take advantage of the fact that there is still a 24-hour window to fix bugs in your game as well as work on the game's page. And so I end up making the game's page after the actual development period concluded. If there's one thing to take away from this, genuinely don't crunch. Like, it is not worth damaging your health for, and like, this genuinely like hurt me in such a horrible way. And like, I'm not kidding, after overworking myself and also not getting barely any sleep the last day, I genuinely lost the desire to do anything at all for like the next 2 weeks. And so yeah, please don't crunch. Like, take your time whenever you make your game, and if you feel that you can't make your game on time, I think it is just better to accept that and leave it unfinished instead of damaging your health. After the development concluded, the rating period had started, which is a time, usually about a week or two, where you play other people's games and you rate them based on multiple categories. Now, sadly, I didn't really get to play as many games as I wanted to, since I was on vacation for the second half of the jam, so I only got to play about 19 games. However, the games that I did play were all incredible, and it was clear that the developers put a lot of love into them. And yeah, now I guess it's time to reveal the final results as well as some of my closing thoughts on the whole thing. So my game ended up placing 43rd overall, which is absolutely awesome, and I am incredibly happy about that. I loved working on this game, and I think I learned a lot from just not only the development of this game, but generally from this jam itself. What I will say, making this game a roguelike is definitely a bad idea, given the fact that it's a jam entry, just because I don't feel that jam games should be like hard, because I feel like every jam game should be completable in a reasonable amount of time, and that was not the case with Bulletrina. But yeah, I also just found out how awesome this community really is, and something that made me a little sad is I did feel a little disconnected from everyone due to how little I interacted with them, not just during the actual rating period, but also like just during the development of the game. So yeah, for next time I do want to be way more active. Lastly, I'd just like to thank everyone who played, rated, and commented on the game over the course of the jam, as well as to all of my wonderful friends who supported me and took time out of their day to play my game. You guys are awesome. If you want to check the game out yourself, the link is in the description, or you can look up Bulletrina on itch.io. And with that out of the way, I want to thank you so much for watching this video until the end. If you enjoyed watching, remember to push all the buttons below, and I'll see you next time.